Hey folks, this is JR with DIY Prepper. Welcome to the channel. One of the most important topics in preparedness is defense, because if you can't defend yourself, your loved ones, and your supplies, then a lot of other things that we do as preppers isn't really gonna matter all that much. And as things continue to go downhill globally and then closer to home, it's going to only become even more important. National and local news is filled with stories of crime and violence, and as our economy continues to struggle, people will become more angry, more desperate, and more likely to do something stupid. And while we like to think of our homes as a sanctuary from all that craziness, we have to be ready in case they're targeted. Maybe we're dealing with a disaster situation and people want to take our supplies, or it could just be a random incident. And a lot of the time, the primary focus of a person's home defense plan is just having a firearm. And while yes, having one or more and knowing how to use them is an important part of that plan, it's just one part. An effective home defense strategy should consist of other things as well. These include things like upgrading our homes to make them harder to get into, protective gear to keep us safe while we're defending ourselves and our loved ones, and early warning systems to reduce the chance of somebody getting the jump on us. And one of the best ways to protect your home is to prevent an intruder from getting inside in the first place. While a motivated attacker will almost always find a way in, at the very least you can slow them down, allowing you to have more time to put your plan into motion. The most common way that criminals enter homes is the front door. Fortunately, there are things that you can do to make the doors of your home harder to breach. The hardware that comes with most doors, locks, and hinges are pretty flimsy, and many times the screws that hold them in place are less than an inch long, so a very inexpensive thing that you can do today is just replace those screws with 3-inch or longer deck screws. If you wanted to take it a step further, then you could invest in a door reinforcement kit like this one. These usually consist of an extended strike plate and other hardware for locks and hinges, and they'll make a door much harder to kick in. You could also pick up some barricade brackets like these, but you'd probably only want to install those if you absolutely had to. Heavy-duty flip locks are another option, and ones like this can withstand up to 800 pounds. People tend to mount those higher up on doors to prevent little children from getting outside, kind of like what I've done, but you can mount them lower near where the locks are to give those a little bit extra reinforcement, and you could always just mount more than one on the same door. Then windows are another area where criminals commonly try to enter homes. Installing security film on those windows will make them more resistant to shattering, which could slow someone down if they're trying to break in, or reduce the chances of somebody getting hurt if something like a brick gets thrown at it. Also, if you have a door with a window on it, you may want to consider replacing that with a solid door if you're concerned about somebody breaking in. The next part of your home defense plan should consist of protective gear. And when it comes to protective gear, one of the most important things that you can get is body armor. Because you got to remember, while you may be really good with a gun, the bad guy may be also, and there may be more than one. So some sort of ballistic protection should be a priority for pretty much everyone. Here I have the VP3 by Bullet Safe. It's a level 3A vest that's designed to stop pistol rounds up to a .44 Magnum, and I'd like to thank Bullet Safe for sending this for us to take a look at today and for sponsoring this video. Now, when it comes to home invasions, the most common weapons used are handguns, so this should be able to protect you from the threats that you're most likely to face. But the VP3 also has pockets to accommodate larger 10 by 12 inch level 3 and level 4 ballistic plates, so you can upgrade it to protect against rifle calibers as well. The VP3 is NIJ certified, which means that it's been tested and reviewed by the National Institute of Justice, which is the body in charge of standardizing bulletproof materials. It has a panel in the front and the back, and they also cover the sides, so it offers protection over a pretty large area. And I got the large, which weighs just under 5 pounds, so it's not really all that heavy, and the straps are adjustable, and they're also elastic on the shoulders and then also on the sides, so it shouldn't really affect your mobility all that much. Another good thing about the VP3 is that it's very affordable compared to other vests of its type at $299, and that's a pretty good deal since it's NIJ certified and ready to use out of the box. But the thing about body armor is that it can be kind of hard to trust it unless you've seen it in action. So today we're going to shoot it with some common handgun calibers, and then at the end see if it can hold up to something a little bit more powerful. And if you think you may want to pick one up for yourself, then be sure to use the link in the description below, and then also use this code to get 10% off. All right, first we're going to start off easy with some .22 long rifle out of a Colt Frontier Scout. Now, you're probably not going to find too many of these out on the street, but you might come across some .22 long rifle. Okay guys, so there's actually two 22 rounds in here. I had a brain fart and I didn't turn on the close-up view camera the first time. So there's two 22 CCI mini mags in here. Hopefully you can see where they went in here and here. But on the back side, absolutely nothing. Okay, next up, we're gonna hit it with a 9mm. We have 115 grain full metal jackets, which are basically the most common 9mm rounds out there, out of a CZ75 SP01. You can see I hit 3 times right there. We are starting to get a little bit of back face deformation here, but as you can tell, nothing made it through there. Next up, we're gonna try a 38 special. I have 158 grain semi-wad cutters in here, and if it stopped the 9mm, it should be able to stop this as well. Okay, as you can see, I hit it kind of in the same area as I hit it with the 9mm, and back here, we don't have any real damage on the carrier. There's like a little spot where it's kind of just a little bit damaged, but not very much. 158 grain bullet definitely didn't make it through. But as y'all can see on the back here, nothing made it through. And that's even with bullets stacked one on top of the other, which is kind of a bad situation. You don't really want that to ever happen. Next up, we're going back to the 9mm, and I'm going to do a mag dump. I'm going to try to hit different areas on the vest, including on the sides, to see how well those hold up. Okay, we put a lot of rounds in here and it stopped most of them with one exception right here. I hit that same area again. Have a couple of spots here and here where the back of the panel kind of tore out a little bit, but the bullet actually did not go all the way through. Like I can feel right there and I can feel something right there as well. So, I mean, unless you're gonna get shot upwards of 20 times, this should do the job. So y'all may have noticed I hadn't touched the back panel at all yet. And the reason why is I was saving it for something special. Here I got a 12 gauge with some double-aught buckshot. Let's see how it does. All right, y'all, I don't think this vest wants to be my friend anymore. You can see it took the double-aught buckshot right there. There is some damage to the carrier on the back, but when you open it up, you see that none of the pellets actually made it through. So, I mean, this vest overall, I think it did a pretty good job. The only reason why that one round made it through with the pistol mag dump is because I'd hit that same area several times. Another kind of protective gear that preppers should have is a gas mask. And if you have a good mask and filters, these can protect you from a lot of different things, including tear gas and other airborne contaminants. But there could be other situations also that may require you to use a gas mask that doesn't necessarily involve somebody breaking into your home, but could still be pretty dangerous. Train derailments can release harmful substances into the air, and so could accidents at various industrial sites. Like earlier this month, there was an explosion at a chemical plant here in Texas, but it doesn't even have to be anything that catastrophic. There was an ammonia leak not too far from where I live at an industrial plant that required a lot of people to evacuate from their homes. Then the next part of your home defense plan should consist of multiple early warning systems to let you know if somebody's headed your way. Ideally, these would be set up in layers so that you would know about a potential threat as soon as possible, where it's coming from, and then also where it's going. Battery-operated motion sensors are a good option for your yard, and you can get long-range versions if you have a larger piece of property. Some of these systems can be set up with different zones so you'll have a better idea of where a potential threat is. And the batteries in these sensors last for a very long time, but if you have a solar generator, you should be able to keep them powered up for years. Then, since the motion sensors and base stations communicate with each other using radio signals, they don't rely on Wi-Fi or cellular networks. So if those get wiped out, it's not that big of a deal. Solar-powered security lights can also help secure areas around your home or property, and when using these, I don't really consider them a way to scare off an intruder. Instead, I set them up so that if a light gets tripped, I can see that from inside of my home and know that maybe there's something going on out there. Security cameras are another good option. Things like Ring cameras are easy to install and use, but they will not work if Wi-Fi networks go down. If you had a closed circuit camera system, then you'd be able to monitor your property as long as you could keep your camera system powered up, but you won't be able to access your video files remotely if they're not connected to a network. Then for your home itself, security systems are very useful while things are relatively normal. However, like Ring cameras, a lot of them aren't going to work anymore if they're not connected to like a Wi-Fi or cellular network. Now, there are some that could still give you an audible warning inside of your home, but there's others that may not be able to do that. And because of that, I like to keep some battery-operated magnetic door and window alarms on hand. These are pretty cheap, and they just mount onto your door and door frame using double-sided adhesive. The ones that I have can be set up to produce a chime or an actual alarm, and you can also get battery-operated glass break sensors as well. And if you like animals, dogs have been a vital part of people's security plans for millennia. Different breeds are good for different things, like German Shepherds tend to be very protective naturally, but even small dogs can serve as decent alarms, provided they're not barking all the time and you just ignore them because you don't want a boy that cried wolf situation. And the most important part of a home defense plan is to actually have a plan and put it into action. If you have the things that we talked about in this video, be sure that you're using them. Like, a security system isn't going to do you any good if it's unarmed half the time. Also, if you're relying on firearms, train with those, know how to use them, and be sure everybody in your family knows their role, knows what they're supposed to do in different situations, and that also includes kids. They should know what to do if somebody breaks into your home, or if your home catches on fire, or also what to do in any other number of situations that could happen. Now, a while back I did a video that covered other ways to prevent someone from breaking into your home. It goes over additional ways to harden it, along with ways to make it less of an appealing target in the first place. You can find that by clicking here. Once again, I'd like to thank Bullet Safe for sponsoring this video. Thank y'all for stopping by. Y'all have a good one.